Hey folks, do you like podcasts?
Do you have hobbies?
Well, here's the show for you.
The Hobby Shop Talk Podcast,
Featuring childhood friends
and old school noobs,
Luke and Matt.
Hello everyone, this is Matt, and this is the Hobby Shop Talk Podcast, episode 17, and this is actually take 3. And we'll talk more about that, but we're going to start out talking about some spoilers, some banned and restricted cards, and then later, which was 2 weeks ago, I think, we'll be talking about comic books. Luke?
Yeah, we're time traveling, so... But yeah, now that this is the third time recording, Kamigawa comes out tonight, so the pre-release events are tonight. So I think I'm gonna go to Lewis Game Shop tonight and hopefully end up playing in the pre-release tournament. Yeah, these spoilers look pretty sweet.
Yeah, we've recorded this twice. We actually had Brent, who works at the store with me, and he's a bigger, well, I mean, I guess I'll explain, because now since the very first time recording this, I wasn't very excited, and I've slowly got a little bit more excited in each recording, so now to the point where I'm a little bit more excited, but he had more to talk about. Anyways, the recording, for whatever reason, didn't work, and I didn't even mention this to you, Luke. I came to the conclusion that he may just be a spirit, because, it can hear me, it hears other things, but he's talking, we can hear him, but I think he may be a spirit.
So Brent is haunting your store, you're saying?
Must be. There's no other explanation.
Obviously.
Yeah. So, because we could hear us talking on the last 2 recordings, we could not hear Brent. So that's what I'm going with. Anyways, let's... the other funny thing is when we talked about the banned list too the first time, it was like right after it came out, and now it's been out for a couple of weeks. So we're going to talk about them anyways, because we're old school noobs.
Now it's old news.
But... Yeah, and we're old school noobs. So that's what we do.
Yeah.
We wait till everybody else has already talked about it, and then we say a bunch of dumb stuff about it.
Then we don't give any opinion on it. We just say this was banned.
Yeah.
And then try to explain why, and don't do a good job.
So first is Alrund's Epiphany, and I've asked this is the 3rd or 4th time, whatever it is. Luke, what do you think about Alrund's Epiphany, which seemed like the biggest banned card in Standard?
Yeah, for sure. I've talked about it on this podcast before, how annoying it is to play, because there's nothing worse in Magic than when your turn gets taken away, especially if all your stuff's tapped out, so you can't even answer anything they got coming. But because if you're all tapped out and then they play Alrund's Epiphany, you're just like, oh crap, let's see what they're gonna do now. Yeah, so I was actually so I could talk smart during this. I pulled up, so this is on MTG Arena Zone. The big thing, it said it was heavily impacting metagame diversity. It was pretty much excellent in every matchup, and really nothing, couldn't do much about it. And it's saying it's giving metagame some breathing room again. So. Yeah, that's one kind of like to Faceless Haven. That, I think, boosted mono-colored decks, right? So if you think about it, if mono green was good, mono white was good, and then Alrund's Epiphany and Izzets, wouldn't those 3 kind of be battling it out? And that seems like a paper, rock, scissors almost. Yeah. Seems like it'd be a good standard meta, but Yep. And it's not like when, I don't know if you didn't probably play much when Oko got banned, but that was in I don't remember if it was the top 8 were all Oko decks in one of the tournaments back when they used to do in-person tournaments. Remember that? That was crazy. I do remember the card, but I don't think I was playing then, or at least, and also not playing as much with people that, actually care about the, what's banned and what's not. Do actually, So again, I'm going off MTG Arena Zone. It was exactly what you said, with the monocolored decks were outcompeting everything else besides Alrund's Epiphany, and that was part of the reason why Faceless Haven was impacted. And then the last, which sounded like it was the more surprising of all the 3 in Standard, was Divide by Zero, which is return target spell or permanent with mana value 1 or greater to its owner's hand, and then you can learn. I think that was big in that Alrund, in the Izzet deck with Alrund's Epiphany, so I don't know if there might have been a combo where you could return it to your hand and then keep getting
bouncing their stuff back, because I mean, unless it's a token, you're going to be able to bounce something because it's, you know, one or more.
And it was mentioning again on this MTG Arena Zone that when combined with Lear, Disciple of the Drowned, or Hullbreaker Horror, that it was a pretty powerful, and it was doing too good against more expensive cards in the format, is what they say. So
yeah, because I think it's is it a common? Nope, it's an uncommon. So, yep. But still, yeah, it's a pretty powerful card. But that Hullbreaker, or is it Hullbreaker Horror? That is a sweet card too, and I don't know if it'll end up getting banks. It's like, I think 7 mana.
Yep, it is 2 blue and 5 other.
Yeah, but I put that in my, you know, I'll talk about this later, but I put it in my Kai card deck to beef it up some more.
Yeah, so it's flash. The spell can't be countered. Whenever you cast a spell, choose up to 1. Return target spell you don't control to its owner's hand. Return target non-land permanent to its owner's hand. Yeah.
So essentially, if they try to cast something, you're just like, you know, play something and then bounce that to their hand. Because you said it's every time you cast a spell, right?
Let me go back. Whenever you cast a spell, choose up to 1. Yeah, that could. Oh man, yeah, I could see, especially Brent, who has meant. We were talking about some of his decks with just the constantly. It's you know, drawing and playing artifacts, and just plays about 15 cards, I swear, in turn. Yeah, he would definitely be. Everything would be returned to my hand, which does end up happening anyways through other means. But next on the list is the only one that I have, and again, this all happened during this whole process of re-recording. It's in Legacy Ragavan Nimble Pilferer, sorry, and it's I'm looking here on the magic.wizards.com, and it has the full art, which I do now have in my Prosper deck, along with a full art Goldspan Dragon, and and first time I thought I was going to get those out, they were milled on like turn. Dylan had pulled out the card where you have to, every time you untap, you have to, mill that many cards. And I said right away, I'm like, I bet I'm going to mill Ragavan and Goldspan, which I just got, and I'm so excited to play. And sure enough, within the first few cards that I had to mill were those 2 cards. Anyways, so Ragavan. Thoughts on your end? I know you've played against Ragavan.
I have not actually played against Ragavan because I don't play much Modern, and
yeah, that's what it was. Yeah, you didn't play much against Ragavan.
So like I don't play Modern or Legacy too much, so just because it's such a freaking expensive format, like unless you. I mean, I could sell a house and then try to get a nice deck. Yeah. We'll see, or skip a couple mortgage payments. But it's a powerful card because then you can. I think most people do is play Dash with it. Yep. Which then it gives it haste, and then you get a treasure token.
And it goes back to your hand, so it can't be killed or taken out.
Yeah, and it goes back to your hand, and then you can play the top card of target player's library.
So you can play some of their expensive cards.
Yeah, which is why you have it in your. What deck
my
is that?
Exile Prosper Exile deck. Yep. Yeah. So it's good for that, but I haven't actually got to use it yet because the one time I did get it out was like later in the game, and I wasn't able to really do anything with it because there was other stuff out to block it. But it seems like on this one, it was actually not the surprise that it was banned; it was the surprise that it wasn't banned in Modern.
Yeah, and I think because even the guys on MTG Goldfish podcast that we talk about quite a bit. They were surprised, or they were thinking in either Urza Saga or Ragavan, or maybe Luris was going to get banned in Modern.
Yeah, Urza Saga.
None of those 3 happened. So
yeah, that seemed like that was a big one. I know Brent was talked about that because he uses that quite a bit. We actually had 2 of those pulled here recently in the store.
The Urza Sagas.
Yep, including one that was the showcase, I think foil or something like that. Yeah, anyway, so that would sound like that was another surprising one that wasn't on this list. The next couple are in historic, so again, probably not too much on our end to talk about, but we had Memory Lapse, which is a counter target spell. If that spell is countered this way, put it on top of its owner's library instead of into that player's graveyard.
Yeah, I don't know if that's just they're trying to limit the amount of counter spells in blue control decks, because it does. I mean, maybe I'm totally off in old school new, but I don't see why it was countered when. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't.
It doesn't seem
that
too
one is
super
actually,
powerful.
So that's banned from suspended. And then the next one is Teferi Time Traveler has been rebalanced and unbanned. I know you had some thoughts on that one, or some.
Yeah, I mean, they call him 3 fairy because he's 3 mana to get out, or he was a colorless white and then blue. But each opponent can cast only spells, or can cast spells only anytime they could cast a sorcery. This was his original one, so basically if they had an instant in their hand to like counter a spell, they couldn't, because they couldn't play it at instant speed. But and then if you plussed up his loyalty, until your next turn you may cast sorcery spells as though they had flash, so then you can use some of those powerful sorcery spells as instant spells, which is huge. You're supposed to say that's what she said, but anyways. I was pointing at you.
I actually have the sign right over. You can't see it, obviously, and it's a podcast, but I have the "That's What She Said" sign right there. I was actually going back to look at something, so, sorry for doing research during this show to add good content.
Anyways, and then his -3, which was, I think, probably the biggest one, too.
That's what she said.
Was also very powerful. There you go. Return up to 1 target artifact, creature, or enchantment to its owner's hand, and then you get a draw card. So, but yes, now it has been rebalanced to 4 mana, and then let me see. So it's 4 mana now. It's 5 starting loyalty, and then your opponent can't cast spells during your turn. So essentially, it took away the instance to sorcery speed. And then you can still play sorceries as though they had flash if you tick it up 1, and then the -3 still stayed the same. So
still pretty good.
Yeah, but I mean, I think with the 3 mana, it worked really good on the curve. So like the 1 mana, 2 mana, and then 3 mana in some of those blue-white control decks. And I think even Esper had a lot of play in Esper decks back when it was back in its heyday.
Back in the heyday. Now, what you're just saying is actually people are already playing. So we were doing spoilers too, this is a couple of weeks ago, and now Kamigawa is coming out, and I know Brent was playing it yesterday on mobile on his phone in Arena. I'm guessing were you as well?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't have any gold, so I couldn't purchase any packs yet. So I played. I'm actually playing a new Brawl deck is what it's called in Arena, but I started a new commander called, he's Arcades the Strategist, so it's the green, white, and blue mana commander with, 1 colorless, but he's pretty sweet because he's flying vigilance, and whenever a creature with Defender enters the battlefield under your control, draw a card. And then each creature you control with Defender assigns combat damage equal to its toughness rather than its power, and can attack as though it didn't have Defender. So basically you get a bunch of big creatures because Defenders are always, super cheap. But so I've just been playing a bunch of that, try to get some gold so I can probably do a draft on Arena and then try to get more gold and more gems.
Nice. Yeah, so I guess, what we can at least talk about is some of the things that we are more excited about. So I'm just going to mention some of them that we talked about with Brent to start, just because I know he was more excited than I initially, which I'm starting to come around a little bit on some of the art and things. He was really excited about the full art lands and also the soft glow, which I guess is there. Do you know about the soft glow, Luke? I didn't know that's what it was even called.
It's just, I mean, is that like a foil etched art? I don't even know. I didn't honestly know too much when he was even talking about it. I still don't know if I fully understand what they are, but
you can see some of the, they're super bright colors. I think we were looking at, was it like an Is It the other day? I was looking at one. I think it was that what it was called?
Is it like is it anime and then it's like it has the anime like style art and then a bunch of bright neon colors, right?
Yeah, because there was one I was looking at was very like a bright pink, and I'm gonna pull it up now that we're talking about it, just because right there. So here we go. Kamigawa Neon Dynasty Showcase Treatments. Here we go. This is from Wizards, and So it says, hold on. From the futuristic look and feel of the soft glow frame to the sharp aesthetic of samurai and ninja frames, this set has visual appeal around every corner. That's what they're saying. Yeah, so it's called the soft glow frame. And I think that's, they're like bright, I guess so I'd describe them. But it's, I'm starting to come around on the art style in it and the soft glow.
Yeah, I've never just been a big fan of anime, but I do like the Japanese style art lands that are coming out. They're coming out with 2 of each, land colors. So those look pretty sweet. But the anime ones, I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know.
And then the other part is they just released the Commander deck recently, and so we didn't have that the first time, but they released the Power Up. And it's a white and blue, which is right up your alley, I would think. Katori Pilot Prodigy is, it's the commander. It's a legendary creature, a moonfolk pilot. And its vehicles you control have crew 2. At the beginning of combat on your turn, target artifact creature you control gains lifelink and vigilance till end of turn. And there's lots of vehicles, so I'm actually interested because I've never played in a game where somebody was using vehicles.
Yeah, I haven't really either. So I know there's some good ones. Like I think the Weatherlight is actually, the classic story.
Yeah, yep.
Way back when, the Weatherlight vehicle. So they made that a vehicle. Trying to think of what else. The Parhelion 2, which is, it costs 8 mana to get out, but it's flying first strike vigilance, and whenever it attacks, create a 4/4 white angel creature token with flying and vigilance that are attacking. So
it actually comes. So it comes with Planeswalker Jace, Architect of Thought.
Yeah, which I don't remember if that's one of the. I know there's a few Jaces that are super expensive and very powerful and popular. So I'm sure that deck will sell pretty good.
Yeah, I'm actually kind of interested just because again, it's colors I don't typically use, but I've never played with the vehicles, and they actually they look kind of cool. So that's the Power Up deck, and then I actually seen was it on Game Nights? One of the YouTube shows, Game Nights, Commander versus, I'm guessing it was Game Nights, was already doing the upgrades to it, which those are kind of fun to watch.
Oh, yeah.
The other thing I'm going to mention, again, because Brent talked more about this, and he said, just mention the jellyfish. And I said, okay, I'll mention the jellyfish, because that's what he's most excited about. And that's the reality chip. It's 1 blue and 1 additional. It's a legendary artifact creature, and it's an equipment jellyfish. You may look at the top card of your library anytime. As long as the reality chip is attached to a creature, you may play land cards and cast spells from the top of your library. And you can reconfigure, which is a blue and 2, and attached to target creature you control or unattached from a creature, reconfigure only as a sorcery. So anyways, your thoughts on the reality chip. Do you have any thoughts on the reality chip?
This is why we call ourselves old school noobs, because I could look through all these previews and I don't know if that one would have stood out, just because I like to look more for my types of decks, which are a lot of attacking and big creatures and equipments and artifacts, which I suppose that's what it is. But I don't know, blue artifacts always seem to get too I don't know, you have to be too smart, I think, or something. I don't know.
Something we are lacking.
But it does. Anytime you can look at the top card of your library is it's a big advantage.
And I did see, and now I'm trying to look. Luke, maybe you remember. I had seen previously that there is a cool goblin, ninja or something, that I was pretty excited about, and now I cannot recall what it's called or find it.
Let's see. I'm gonna filter through these colors real quick because it was a red, obviously.
Yeah.
Goblin. Let's see here. Can you hear that pounding? I don't know what they're doing outside my house, but I'm kind of creeped out.
I can now.
It's creepy. Oh, the scrap welder, goblin artificer.
Biting Palm Ninja?
Yeah, Biting Palm Ninja. He's colorless and then two colorless in a swamp. Human Ninja, and he has ninjutsu for 2 colorless in a swamp. And it says Biting Palm Ninja enters the battlefield with a menace counter on it, and whenever Biting Palm Ninja deals combat damage to a player, you may remove a menace counter from it. When you do that, player reveals their hand and you choose a non-land card from it, and then you exile that card,
nice.
Which is pretty sweet.
The art is awesome on that too. The extended.
And you have black in your commander.
Yep.
Exile deck,
yep.
Right? You'll have to get him for that.
I just want to find that darn.
Or was he multicolored?
I don't know.
The one I'm pumped for is that Ishin 2 Heavens is 1, which I actually played against on Brawl today. I destroyed it, but he's a legendary creature for Mardu colors, so red, white, and black. And if a creature attacking causes a triggered ability of a permanent you control to trigger, that ability triggers an additional time. So, like all those goblins that when you attack, you get different abilities or effects, and then white has a few where if you attack you get like 1/1 soldiers or 1/1 creatures with lifelink. So I think that'd be a pretty fun one to make for commander.
The other I guess I haven't actually just so the other one it looks like here is Upgrades Unleashed is the other commander deck. It's a red and green, 2 additionals. The commander is Chishiro, the Shattered Blade. He's a Snake Samurai. Whenever an aura or equipment enters the battlefield under your control, create a 2/2 red spirit creature token with menace. And then at the beginning of your end step, put a 1/1 counter on each modified creature you control. Equipment, auras you control, and counters are modifications. So,
see, this would have been so much better with white in it. Because just think of all the awesome auras and enchantments, and it was Naya colors.
Yeah.
Oh, it would have been perfect. I definitely would have made a deck out of that.
Well, you can just add it.
Nope. Well, I have to switch the commander then.
Oh, yeah, duh. Man, such a noob.
I know.
I'm still just, I'm still just looking for my goblin, and I didn't find him, so I'm just going to have to find him in a pack next week or something when I actually have them in the store.
Yeah, and then in this set, there's 2-sided sagas. So, the sagas, you got like 3, each upkeep you take or you put a counter on it, and then when there's 3 counters on it or whatever it says on the card, you exile and then transform it to, it's usually a creature. So let's see if I can, so probably the one popular one will be, it's all 5 colors and then a colorless, the Kami War. So its first saga, I don't remember. Counter. So the first lore counter, you would exile target non-permanent and opponent controls. The second, you would return up to 1 other target non-land permanent to its owner's hand. Then each opponent discards a card. And then the third one, you exile the saga and return it to the battlefield transformed under your control, which then gives you a 6/6 enchantment creature dragon spirit. Okagachi Made Manifest.
I bet you got it right.
And then he is all colors, flying trample. Whenever he attacks, defending player chooses a non-land card in your graveyard, return that card to your hand. And then the creature gets +X+0 until end of turn, where X is the mana value of that card. Holy cow, that was a lot to me. But
did you get all that?
Yeah, did the listeners get that? My nice soothing voice. Anyway, so yeah, that's another cool thing they got in that set.
Yeah, no, so I'm a little bit excited. Like I said, I'm curious about for Commander, which we play way more of here now. I actually just had to get more Commander decks in the store because a lot more people have been playing Commander in the store. So kind of excited to get these and try. I'm going to try, I think, the vehicle, and it's different than what I would normally play. So anything else, Luke, on Kamigawa?
No, it's a side note or another Magic related thing. Are you getting those Challenger decks for the 2022 Challenger decks? Do you see those?
I haven't. I seen
after you posted, I was looking at them, but no, I don't have those. But yeah, I don't know. Do people play, or?
I mean, I think they're great because they are like the name implies, they're challenger decks, so they can actually they're good right out of the box. Obviously, people still modify them and upgrade them, but
what do they come as? A 60 or 100? I mean, is it a standard or a?
It's a 60 card standard deck, or maybe Pioneer / maybe Pioneer. I'd have to look, but they're just pretty nice, and I think they're cheaper than they have been because they used to be like $40. And then when I was looking, I think they were only 20 or 25. So
yeah, I don't. I don't yet, just because. I wasn't 100% sure if it was what people would play. I guess I haven't anybody ask for them. So, but I mean, they do sound cool, and I'm just excited because I found Goro, Disciple of Ryusai. It's 1 red and 1 additional legendary creature, Goblin Samurai. It's a 2/2, and you can tap 1 red. Creatures you control gain haste till the end of turn, or tap 2 red and 3 additional and create a 5/5 red dragon spirit creature token with flying. You can activate this only if you control an attacking modified creature. So again,
that modified is kind of a cool new. I don't know if it's considered a mechanic, but they say so now. If you have equipments, auras, they count as modifications and counters.
Yep. So, anyways, that's the one that I was that was pretty cool. So, I'm so glad I found that before the end of this. It was going to drive me crazy. But also, so we're good to move on. I'm going to talk about we played a couple tournaments at the store. I'm just going to mention them briefly. So the first one what we do here is every other weekend is a sealed 6-pack. So the very first one we did was Crimson Vow because it was pretty new at that point. I think Tyler won. I can't recall exactly the whole part. I lost in the first round to Brent. We actually ended up playing each other first round. My first draft, I waited till the very end because we were hoping to get enough people, and we're in Minnesota, so it was a kind of snowy days, so we ended up with like 6. So Brent and I played last minute, and that didn't turn out well for me because I thought I'm going to go simple, small, flying creatures, white and green, I think is what I did. Because I had 2 cards in there. This is a 40-card deck is what we play with. It's usually like 20, 23, cards and then 17 land or something. And 2 of the 6 rares I pulled was where you could mill the top 13 cards of your library and like look for a card. I'm like, I don't know about that, when you're playing with a 40-card deck. Yeah. So anyways, I think it was Tyler who won that. And then the next one we just did, so again, this was like new the first time we recorded this. We did Keldheim, and the thing about that one was just the pulls. We had 2 Goldspan Dragons pulled out of the packs. I think we did have a group of 8 playing. As well as Dylan had a Kaya the Inexplorable, I think it's called. It was a full art. And then there was a couple other good cards too, but really those, so the Goldspan Dragons are like $30 each, so to pull those in those draft packs. And then Dylan ended up winning, and he had that Kaya the Inexplorable. But then so when they win, the winner gets a collector's pack and a booster for first place. He ended up pulling 2. I think we just talked about this. Was it Is It Dragon? One was a full art foil. Is that correct? Am I saying that now? Because I'm getting it messed up with the other. Is it?
Oh yeah. Or wait. So what did you say? I was looking at my other screen.
I said
I was pulling up my commander deck. Anyways,
they pulled. So the winner gets a collector's pack, and he pulled 2. Of that dragon. I'm getting
Goldspan dragon.
Nope. It was like is it
Tiamat?
Yep. There you go. See,
Tiamat.
Is it in my head? Tiamat. Yep.
Oh, is it?
Nope.
Just kidding.
Is it? Yep.
Is it in your head?
Anyways, pulled 2. I believe it was those full art in 1 collector's pack. But anyways, yeah. So that's when we've been playing a lot of Commander. What have you been? I know you had. So you've told this story like 3 times. I know there's probably some other stuff you could talk about. The games you've been playing.
Yeah, actually. So last Friday at Lewis's game shop, we played a couple games of Commander. With the first game had 5 of us, But we all got stomped by Coma, so he's the Coma Cosmos Serpent is a 6/6 legendary creature. He can't be countered, and at the beginning of your upkeep, create a 3/3 blue serpent creature token named Coma's Coil. And with those, you can sacrifice one and tap target permanent. And then its activated abilities can't be activated this turn, or else you could also sacrifice it to give Coma indestructible until end of turn. And then he's 7 mana to get out. 3 colorless, 2 green, and 2 blue. But basically, the guy running that deck, he got World Slayer out, so that's equipment. And whenever that creature that's equipped deals combat damage, you destroy every permanent. I think non-land too. So yeah, it's just every permanent's destroyed. So he actually Cyclone Rift us with Overload, so everyone returned everything to their hand. And then he swung at someone with Coma, destroyed everything, but he sacked one of the serpents before that to give him indestructible. So basically Coma was out on the field and everyone had 15 cards in their hand, but no mana. So
just getting destroyed.
And I think he was actually he was probably just playing down a little bit just to get the game going a little bit. And then we played, so I was using my enchantment deck with Tuvasa in it, and that's that Merfolk for green, white, and blue. And then for each enchantment, it gets +1/+1, and whenever you cast your first enchantment each turn, draw a card. So I used that for both games. And then in the second game, there was 4 of us, and the guy that was using Coma switched to which one was it? He had a wizard commander deck that had basically a bunch of wizards, merfolks, and then counter spells. So, and then the other guy playing had a blue-white control deck with that. Let me check out.
Man, that sounds like a lot of control.
I know. And then anyways, his commander, you can't cast spells that have more than you have mana for. So you can't use mana rocks. You can't use treasure tokens. So yeah, it's pretty controlling right away, and it's only 2 mana to get out. I forget her name.
That would shut down my exile deck. Yeah.
Yeah.
Give you all those treasure tokens,
so anyways,
and not even be able to use them.
The other guy that was playing was using the new black and red vampire commander that you get a bunch of blood tokens, and he was actually on the other end. So I didn't see his deck board state too often, but it was me and him kind of at the towards the end of the game that had a bigger board state, and one of us would have won, but it got super late, so we just had to.
That's the tough part when you haven't played multi. We talked about that before. That is they usually go longer. So yeah, we've been doing a lot more. We actually just played yesterday a game of two-headed giant. I actually am using a white, blue, and green commander because I wanted to just do a new deck, and it's just easier to use a commander deck, that's pre-built and start that way. So I wanted something different. I never use white and blue, as I know we've talked about. So it's the Galia Kindler of Hope, which is from the Forgotten Realms. It's one of their commander decks. And it's a Elf Knight 4/4 Vigilance. You may look at the top card of your library at any time. You may cast aura and equipment spells from the top of your library. When you cast an equipment spell this way, it gains when this equipment enters the battlefield, attached to target creature you control. But I played with that with Dylan, and he had his dragon deck, which, yes, it was the Tiamat that he had 2 of. One was the borderless in foil, and I think the other one was just borderless, maybe. But anyways, so he was playing with that deck, and they were playing against Dylan and Brent and Devin. I can't recall the decks. Anyways, the point was going to be that so I learned very quickly that again, using one of the pre-builts, they're awesome, but I quickly changed a bunch of it, so I haven't played my second round, because what I'm actually going to do, just because I wanted to try it, and it's more theme based, just because we do have all levels coming to the store too, so I'm not about, I had some mana ramps, but I'm not trying to, break it per se. But anyways, I added a lot of party stuff. So the creatures I kind of swapped into party stuff because it's a lot of equipments and things. So kind of the party style,
But using white, blue, and green, which I don't know the last time I did that. So, yeah, it's different.
Welcome to the good side.
Well, I just right away was like, I just realized I'm like, oh, this is weird. I don't have any counter spells. So I'm like, I probably should add some counter spells. God, I hate counter spells. Now I'm going to play them. I don't even know if I can do it.
Well, everyone hates life gain. Everyone hates direct damage. Everyone hates milling. Everyone hates exiling. It's whatever you want to complain about.
I just complain more though about that because I never play it and I play a lot of it against a lot of it. So that's the one I usually target. Because it's like I usually have to ask Brent when we're playing a lot of. He uses a lot of blue. I'm like, if you'll allow me, I'm going to play because when I know it's something good, I'm like.
Will you let this resolve, blue player?
Yeah. Or try to sneak it out. Hey, look over there, squirrel, and then put it out. Pass turn. But
we should just go back to the days when it was like a 2/2 grizzly bear and a 3/3 trampling elephant or whatever.
Yeah.
Just
such even more noobs than we still are today.
The boomer magic is, I think, what it's called nowadays.
The other thing I was going to talk about, it has nothing to do with this, but I knew I wanted to talk about it one of the last times we recorded. It would have been in the last section. So when we fast forward to the future pretty soon to talk about comics and games and whatever else we talked about, I've been watching AEW wrestling, and man, I love it. I'm like almost caught up, which I want to catch up because they constantly bring in new guys, but I was watching a couple different matches. It's with the Spanish God, and I love the way the announcer says it. Sammy Guevara versus Cody Rhodes. Of course, Rhodes, is with Dusty Rhodes' brother.
The Rhodes family.
Yeah. But they did a ladder match for, I think it's like the TNT title now, or maybe it's the TBS. I don't know. I can't remember. But the moves they do, they show the craziest athleticism. I mean, it's like everybody in that place can jump through the ropes, over the ropes. That Sammy Guevara, like just on the one I just watched, he bounces from one rope to another rope near it, and then does a cutter of some sort, or like the diamond cutter, but he's bouncing off the ropes. But the match I was talking about, the ladder match, I mean, they were up on these 20-some foot tall ladders, and he does his finisher off there. So did Cody Rhodes. I mean, just the craziest moves I've ever seen. And it's like the most entertaining wrestling because, I don't know, it's like this, the whole thing when they started, I guess, was like it's wrestling for wrestlers. It's like, run by wrestlers. And Cody Rhodes is one of the people. Anyways, you got to sometime check out AEW wrestling because it takes you back to our old wrestling days. They have like rankings. They actually, when they come out, it's like, it has their record, 16-4 or whatever, it has their record. Anyways, I don't know, something about it. It's kind of got me back into watching wrestling, and they do the craziest stuff. Half the time I literally am like, whoa, or like, oh my God, like it looks like they, got hurt. I'm like, how are they doing these things?
It kind of takes away from if they're always constantly doing these huge moves and then what's their finisher? It's like, well, they do 20 finishers through the whole match.
Yeah, I think I mentioned this the previous time. It's like when you then see other finishers, it's like they're nothing compared to
Jake the Snake with the DDT.
It's nothing.
Or
like
Hogan with the leg.
Yeah, or body press. But no, they're just do some crazy stuff, but they're just super entertaining. I don't know, and they keep bringing in more guys. So, anyways. I think you got to check it out sometime. So I was going to add that because I wanted to talk about something one of the last times, and that's what it was. Now,
well, hopefully my son or daughter ends up watching it here. One of these coming up soon. Yeah,
I recommend AEW. I just stopped the watching WWE. There's so much of it, and they were too long. There's not enough time to keep up with it. And I'm a completionist. Like I need to see it all I don't want to not know what's going on. I don't care if it's wrestling or what it is. I want to know. So
I will say I just watched, I haven't watched the last match, so the Lesnar Kurt Angle match, but I watched WrestleMania 19 far, or like most of it. So, nice. And I was like, I was there live. I don't remember any of the stuff.
Really?
Like any of it. Like there was the Undertaker match wasn't the greatest. I don't remember who he fought now. Like watching, I was like, I don't remember this. What was I doing the whole time? Like,
were you drinking at this time?
Well, no, I wasn't even 21 yet, so I was 20 when it happened.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Yeah, yep.
So it was 19, though, you say, right?
Yeah, WrestleMania 19. So.
All right, I'm just going to mention it because Wyatt's watched probably all those anyways, but I don't know if he knew which one you went to.
Yeah.
So do you remember where you were in the crowd?
We were I think the tickets were $80, so they were way, way up in Safeco Field. Like, we had to watch the Titantron most of the time. Like, pretty much the whole time, yeah. It was a fun time,
you could have just watched it. Like a hotel room, more comfortable. And
One of the 20-year anniversary is coming up. Like, I think I said this last podcast, but it's going to be out at SoFi Stadium in California next year, so...
Are you going, maybe this time, though, since a different point in your life, you could just buy a plane ticket, or would you road trip?
I'd see if the guys wanted a road trip. That would, although that would probably just take a few extra days, obviously, but...
Yeah. But, all right, well, we're going to fast forward now to the future and talk about...
To the past.
Oh, wait,
we're going to go back in time
see, this is really...
Because it was 2 weeks ago
so
when
much
we
crazy
did the
stuff.
other one.
We have a spirit trying to be on our podcast with us. We have fast forwarding to the past.
That's rewinding, man.
Anyways.
Please be kind and rewind.
Yeah. Anyways, all right, on to comic books. Until next time.
No, they don't know that. They don't know we're leaving.
No, I know.
They don't think. Just kidding. All right. Make sure you save it.
But the bad part here as a transition is we're not going to talk more magic when it comes to the comic. But I actually think that's good because we're probably kind of catching up to, where they're at in releases. And I'd prefer, it's good to be a little bit behind anyways, you know what I mean? So we're not doing too many spoilers. So we will do issues 7 and 8 the next time as far as comic books go. But I did read a couple, and the first one I'll talk about is because it's the one you told me I should read out of the ones I mentioned I got for Christmas. And this is The Joker, Volume 1 by, I'm just going to say my favorite comic book creator just because it seems like I've liked every one of his comics. The Woods is probably my favorite comic by James Tynion. I hope that's how you pronounce his name. The fourth. But anyways, yeah, so this Joker, Arkham Asylum has been attacked and all eyes are on the Joker. A mysterious benefactor hires former Gotham City Police Commissioner Jim Gordon to go on a global manhunt to catch and possibly kill the Clown Prince of Crime. I'm not going to read the rest of it because I think I did previously, but that's pretty much what the first issue is we see Jim, actually too, I'm just going to mention the first cover is just awesome. A picture of the Joker.
With Bane in the background, it looks like.
Yeah. And so it starts out with Jim back before he went to Gotham, and he's talking to this old cop. Jim thinks he's telling him, because Jim is always about doing right and doing the good thing, and that's why he's getting a promotion, getting sent to Gotham because he, five cops turned in for taking bribes or something, and this cop asked him if he found his boogeyman or caught his boogeyman. He's like, realized, you're too young. And this guy's boogeyman, telling him, is this killer they were after. He comes in on him and she's eating the face off of a woman and asks if he wants a bite. He's telling Jim a life lesson. He said he finally learned it now. But he said, there's the law and then there's evil, Jim. And when you see evil, you aim for the head. Jim learned this quickly because this guy, what happened to him is the guy he tried to take him in. The guy threw a knife at him, hit him in the leg, and escaped, and they never caught him. So he's saying, now he missed his chance. And now Jim is learning it with the Joker. He sees the Joker in his sleep. So it kind of moves to present day. And as it mentioned in the back part here, we meet this woman who is trying to hire Jim to take out the Joker, not catch. They want him dead, and they will. He has an unlimited check card, bank card, to do as he needs for supplies and everything, and then he gets $25 million. And so it's also, he's kind of saying this is getting close to retiring. He really has no money. He said he might be able to make it a year or two, but so this seems like a good opportunity. And then he's remembering back to this guy telling him, you can't just take him in. He's taken in the Joker, 100 times. It's just he always ends up getting out, and then more people die.
And this also, as well, there's kind of start in the beginning, the Joker, well, they're assuming the Joker, Arkham Asylum is destroyed. And it was like the Joker toxin. It was a different form of it, so nobody knew what was happening, because usually when the Joker toxin hits, everybody's, their faces curl up with a big smile and they start laughing like the Joker. In this case, it was a different version of that, so then they didn't know what was coming because nobody was laughing. They all died in this toxin. It was like 500 people died, and then a bunch of people escaped, and so that's also happening at this time. Kind of assuming the Joker, is behind some of this. And so it's a tough conundrum for Jim, who's on the straight and narrow, but now getting this offer and remembering back that he should have probably taken out the Joker earlier, he would have saved a lot of people. I'm curious what he's going to do. As we also know, Batman, is more, he typically is taking in the bad guys. He's not, killing them. So we haven't seen Batman and how he's gonna, or what he's gonna think about this. So that was the first issue of the Joker. I'm gonna try and read a couple more before the next episode. What have you been reading, Luke?
Well, we'll keep with the milk toast, because that sounded pretty milk toast.
There was a serial killer eating the face off of a woman on the third page. That Batman is milk toast in the sense that he's
popular.
Knows. Yeah, popular, yeah. But the comic is definitely not milk toast, because it, as far as what's happening, because it can be pretty brutal. Because those bad guys in Gotham are not good people; they're murderers.
Well,
anyways, I digress.
Well, in X-Men number 7 that I'm going to talk about, Cyclops gets his throat slashed. So how's that for milk toast?
Wow, that's a transition.
Spoiler alert. No, yeah, in 7 they I like how I say no yeah a lot. I don't know if is that a Midwestern thing?
I was gonna say, you kind of said, I thought you said "huh-ya," like "huh-ya."
Keep with that Kamigawa samurai, huh?
Yeah.
Just good transition. Anyways, issue, I get them mixed up so much. Issue 7 starts off with that Dr. Fei Long talking, like kind of hyping up all his chimeras, his human/animal hybrids that he's been creating. If you remember, I think when issue 2, he was like experimenting a ton with like trying to get human/animal hybrids to live longer than, I think, a few hours or whatever it was. They show Dr. Fei Long, and he has a tray of wine, or what looks to be wine, and he's like cheersing with all these animal hybrids, and they drink it and they instantly like go insane. And they're in the sewer underneath in New Jersey. So they all drink like this weird potion, whatever it is. And this is kind of a flashback. I think I just said that earlier, but he's talking with Emma Frost just about, he's like, because, they faked his death, Cyclops' death last issue. So he's wondering how it happened. And this issue kind of shows how it happened, which this is a pretty spoiler alert. And I didn't catch it in the last episode, in the last issue. But so Captain Krakoa is actually Cyclops. So that's why Cyclops was pissed, because he kind of had to change his character, I guess. And so, yeah, I didn't realize that. And I don't know how they explained it, but I was watching some reviews of this issue, and that's what they said. So I was like, oh, old school noob again here, not paying attention to anything in the comic book, apparently.
Oh, so was it like a reveal like on Scooby-Doo, where he had like a mask on, and then he, reveals and pulls
No,
off?
just like in the end of issue 5, it must have been, or 6, Captain Krakoa is saying something like, I won't let it happen again, or something. After one of at Cyclops' vigil, one of the kids or attendees says something to Captain Krakoa how awesome Cyclops was, and he's gonna be missed. But so, anyways, this flashback to those animal hybrids wreaking havoc in New Jersey. X-Men have to come in, take them out, which is pretty cool. Cyclops like shoots his beam up into a stoplight, and then it like shatters into like 5 different things and hits a bunch of the different animals, which is kind of a cool spread on in the issue. So apparently what those animals drank was like a accelerator for fire. So of course Sunfire's on the team. He gets called in to take care of it. Pretty much blows up a bunch of stuff. It was more of a distraction. So then one of these hybrid animals grabs a baby from, one of the bystanders. So Cyclops tries to go save it. And as Cyclops gets it, it's like a tiger / ape / human. That's when he catches Cyclops in the throat. So Cyclops is sitting there bleeding. The EMT comes, the medic, and is like, "Oh, that looks bad." And he's like, "But you're still alive, and it's only cut it halfway." So then he's like, "But the bad news is I'm going to cut it the rest." And that's where he finishes off Cyclops.
Dun, dun, dun.
I know. And then so then they cut back to present day, and they're going over Captain Krakoa's his armor, and that's where it cuts back to Dr. Phelan, which in the beginning you thought maybe he was going to try to defeat the X-Men with these animal hybrids, but it was just a distraction. So at the end, it's like somebody is playing a dangerous game with us, and they're ahead, and I'm pissed off, is what Dr. Phelan says. So we'll see what happens in issue 8.
Well, so again, going back to some non-milquetoast, but similar though, because this is a superhero comic, is I read the first issue of, first 2 issues of Irredeemable. I won't read all this again, but just the first sentence kind of tells it all. When the Plutonian, the world's greatest hero, snaps and turns into the world's greatest villain, and only his former teammates have a chance at stopping his rampage. So yeah, the world's strongest, most popular superhero, Superman pretty much, but in this world it's Plutonian. And right off the bat, so I'm showing Luke here, but you can see this guy's got fire in his eyes, and he's looking at just a child sleeping in a window. Well, then we say, so what it is like it said, so this Plutonian is turned to the bad guy. So it starts off is he's hunting his former teammates, so it's their goal, and that's what they're trying to figure out is how to stop him. So it's like nobody knows much about him. You're a superhero, you don't usually reveal much. You have your ultimate, life or whatever you call it. But right off the bat, we see him going after one of his former teammates. The superhero is I can't recall his name. I think it says it later in the issue, but he's running to his daughter, who is looking at yelling her name. We got to get going, and he's trying to get his wife to go, and they're going to pack clothes. He's like, "No, we have no time for this." And all of a sudden, the whole house is being vaporized. His wife and toddler kid are vaporized right in front of him by the Plutonian, and then they're going to their cave to try to get to safety. And he actually, the Plutonian shoots through the ground a page before, and I'm not knowing what's going on here, but as these guys are running into the superhero carrying his other daughter, the only one left in this back cave, all of a sudden a hand comes up through the ground and grabs his ankle and trips him. And so he went straight, through the ground, and he came back up and grabbed this guy by the leg, and then, he vaporizes his former teammate right in front of his daughter, and then obviously I'm pretty sure she didn't survive either. But then we look at they kind of jump forward, and we're seeing we jump forward a week later, but it's actually a flashback. They're talking to one of his former teammates. They're trying to kind of find out what they know about him. They're saying he's the Plutonian the most, and what do you know about him? What they're trying to do is actually just you have to find some weakness, the world's greatest superhero, to stop him. So they actually, somebody mentions him having a girlfriend, I believe it was, and the guy they're talking to, they're learning some of this information. The one that's closer to him, he's actually in a grave, but he can never die, technically. But he's like, that's all I have left in my head. Can I please lie down? And then you see he's laying back down in his grave. So he was one of them that got killed, but he could never die. So I was I don't know, he went into the ground. But anyway, so they're going back, trying to find
ways to stop this guy. Right at the end of this, they actually get attacked by him. The second episode, now you got me doing it. And the second issue, we get to meet some of the other superheroes that were on his team, or in kind of their, a little bit about them. One of them is actually, they can recite ghost stories from their culture, and then it like forms those things. Like this is actually a samurai. He recites a ghost story about them, and then they come into being and like fight their enemies. So that's what she does. But so we meet her. One of the people, his former teammates, was tasked with going out and finding this former girlfriend, seeing what she knows. And what they find out is that when she broke up with him, she had found out that he was pretending to be this guy at her work. In the end, it was actually Plutonian and what's the word? Like Superman Clark Kent, his alter ego?
His alias?
His alias, yeah. So he was going by this kind of weird dude at what turned out to be his girlfriend's, job. Well, it's him, and so when he tells her that, or reveals himself, she, flips out. She can't trust him anymore. She doesn't know who he really is. And so that's kind of like, one of the many things. So what this whole thing is just showing even the world's greatest superheroes, there's little things like she ran and told everybody in her office, like, this guy is actually Plutonian, and then he's freaked out, and he's like, you don't know what you just did. And right away, so they worked at a radio station, I forgot to mention this, and right away they're like, we got to go on the air and tell everybody. So they're going to say, this guy is actually a Plutonian. It's like a third of a second for the airwaves, or that sound to go to the airwaves. And they show Plutonian shoot through the ceiling, go up into the air, and smash the satellite before it can, reveal his name. And then it ends. I don't even know what's going on, but one of the guys on this team of people trying to go after him is sitting in this room with all these people with suits, and then they have just blank white eyes, a whole bunch of them. And so I don't know what that's about. I didn't go to issue 3, but
let's hope Superman doesn't do that. Then we'd all be in danger.
I think Plutonian could beat Superman. I mean, that might be controversial, but
they got to do the crossover like they did with Marvel and DC. Do the DC versus whatever indie comic book company that is.
Well, this was Boom Studios again, which seems to be my go-to. Yeah, Boom Studios and Image are my go-to, but Boom Studios definitely has some good stuff. So, you read anything else besides X-Men?
Yeah, I read Wolverine. When he's not. So, pretty much say it.
Is that like his side? Like, it's like, if you're in the police sometime, you might have a side job as like,
mercenary.
Security guard.
Yeah.
A security guard or something, So we got X-Men, and then when he's on his side gig, it's Wolverine.
Yeah, well, he was in the Avengers. He was in X-Force. He was in a few other ones probably, but no, I got the X-Deaths of Wolverine and then the X-Lives of Wolverine, which apparently it's 10 Deaths of Wolverine. I didn't read it as the Roman numeral that apparently it is, so. Anyways, I read the X-Deaths of Wolverine. Well, I'll start with that one because I think that's first in the... I think they're going to alternate weeks, and then there's 5 issues a piece, so which would equal 10. But the first one was basically that Moiraine McTaggart, who was like an old associate of Professor X. So it shows her running away from Mystique for whatever reason. And she used this teleport thing to go back to Scotland where she's from to kind of get away from it all. But so she's on the run from Mystique. She goes to this hospital where Dr. Jane Foster, who was Thor for a little bit. I don't know if you remember that. Like, I think it's, what's her name? Natalie Portman's character in the Thor movies that she was in. So she goes to her. She's like, how bad is it? They find out she has whatever stage 4 lung cancer and it's metastasized. So, but in between that, they show Black Tom Cassidy. Is that his name? Yeah, so they show Black Tom on Krakoa at the Green Lagoon, which is like the watering hole for the mutants in Krakoa. And he's like, there's something weird with my drink. So then the bartender's like, you're just wasted, drunk. So then he goes to where they get this drink from, which is apparently like a known pond, green, weird thing. And there's like a big egg or whatever tumor in there. And Black Tom's like, what the heck is this? But that's where it cuts to that Moraine McTaggart in the hospital. And then one of the classic scenes, of like Mystique, she can pretend whoever she is. A nurse comes in and like, oh, doctor, they need you. And then so the doctor leaves. And then, of course, the nurse turns into Mystique. Not too earth-shattering, but then that Dr. Jane Foster is also Valkyrie, apparently, which I didn't know any of this, by the way. I had to go like watch a review and they're explaining it all. So I definitely got to catch up on some of my older X-Men because like this still takes place on Krakoa and it takes place right after one of the other events from one of the other runs of X-Men / Avengers, maybe. I don't know, some Marvel one, but so anyways, they show Valkyrie save that Moraine McTaggart. And then cuts back to Black Tom, who's at that like weird watering hole where they get their drink from. And this random person pops in, pretty much then kills Black Tom. But it has like, they kind of show a little piece of it and they do the shink, like the Wolverine shink. So obviously it's Wolverine or someone impersonating him. Moraine McTaggart dyes her hair, cuts it short. So then she's on the run from the CIA and a bunch of people. And so, she gets away from everyone trying to catch her. And then it cuts to the cradle in Krakoa where they have Professor X and then Marvel Girl over Wolverine's body. They're like doing something because he wears one of those helmets that Professor X and maybe kind of like the Cerebro thing or whatever. I don't know if you remember that from the movies. So yeah, they're doing something with Wolverine on that table, trying to telepathically do something with him. Not too sure what they're doing, but they sense something is wrong. And then at the end is this cybernetic / like robotic Wolverine pops out at the end. And he says, Marvel Girl's telepathically trying to get to him. And she's like, is that you? Wolverine. But so then Wolverine at the end, this is the cybernetic one, says, I'm no one. I was never here. Now I have to intertwine. Since they're so close, I'll just go back to X 10 Lives of Wolverine. Because I'm guessing they go every other.
10 Lives of Wolverine. So that's another...
There's 2 different ones, and they're 5 each. 10 issues altogether. So, 10 Lives and 10 Deaths of Wolverine. But you know how at the end of that last issue of... or at the X-Deaths of Wolverine, they were in Krakoa on that table with Marvel Girl and Professor X? Yep. So apparently they... From what I got it, on the X Lives of Wolverine... Well, it kind of starts off with him, like, Wolverine being like, I don't understand time. I have no need for it. Like, like, what is time? So, but what they show, or from what I gathered, they were sending Wolverine kind of back in time to keep Professor X alive. Because they go back to Professor X's birth, like his actual birth way back when. It looks like it's about the 1920s maybe. I don't know. I have no idea. It doesn't really say. But so then Wolverine has to stop an assassination attempt by one of my favorite X-Men villains / Wolverine villains or nemesis is Omega Red. So it's like, I don't know if you remember, Omega Red has those tendrils, the Russian like Cybertron guy. I don't know what he technically is, but pretty sure he has adamantium tendrils.
Nice.
Anyways, pretty badass villain. So like a spirit of him took over one of the groundskeepers and then kind of turned into an old school Omega Red. So I had like bone tendrils, trying to take out Professor X. So whatever is like inhabiting these bodies like can leave right away, because like right when Wolverine's about to kill that guy that's taken over by Omega Red's spirit, like Omega leaves his body, and then the guy's like, "What are you doing? Don't kill me." So yeah, so Wolverine ends up saving Professor X, obviously. Otherwise, what would be the point? Then they kind of cut back to that same the same place in Krakoa at the cradle where the X-Deaths of Wolverine, or the 10 Deaths of Wolverine ended. So and then it kind of shows, which is a sweet like full spread, shows Wolverine with that cerebral type headgear on. And then it just has like a ton of different flashes of all his like, first his original suit when he was fighting Hulk in that Hulk issue, Weapon X, fighting Lady Deathstrike, fighting Sabretooth, fighting Omega Red. I think getting his adamantium ripped out, growing his claws for the first time. But then all of a sudden it cuts to Wolverine with Sabretooth and Maverick, who were a part of like that whole Weapon X thing. And Wolverine's like, what the, where are we? And they're like, Wolverine, we're in the Cambodian Colombia. So they're like fighting. When he was a mercenary with Maverick and Sabretooth, they were cuts to them in Colombia, kind of like, so like how did he get from, saving Professor X years ago to Colombia and whatever, probably more closer to modern time. And then he kind of sees a hologram or like a silhouette / ghost of Marvel Girl at the end. So yeah, and it looks like X Lives is first, so week 1, and then week 2 will be Deaths and vice versa. So looks like I should have did the X Lives first, but next week I will, or next time I will.
So they have those. That's how they get them coming out weekly.
Yeah.
Wow.
I know. It's like, good thing it's only a 10-issue run. Otherwise, that's going to get expensive.
Yeah. Well, so I didn't read. Well, I think I probably did, but for talking wise, but I did. I think I remember I mentioned this once. I did get the first omnibus of The Boys, which is on Prime Video, and everybody's been talking about it. I should watch it, or just like I'm hearing people talking about it. I want to watch it. But so I got to read the graphic novel first because I prefer to read it and then watch. So yeah, The Boys, and this is just funny because it's kind of like Irredeemable, but I do definitely see it as the, you got the X-Men and then I do the anti, so this is actually, it talks about it here. This is The Boys again. This is Dynamite comics. So this one, this is going to hurt in a world where costumed heroes soar through the sky and masked vigilantes prowl the night. Someone's got to make sure the soups don't get out of line, and someone will. Billy Butcher, Huey, Mother's Milk, the Frenchman, and the Female are the Boys, a CIA-backed team of very dangerous people, each one dedicated to the struggle against the most lethal force on Earth, superpower. Some superheroes have to be watched, some have to be controlled, and some of them sometimes need to be taken out of the picture, and that's when you call in the Boys. Anyways, yeah, so these guys, make sure the superheroes are, not running amok like this Plutonian, so they could have used the Boys. Anyways, yeah, people have been talking about that on Amazon Prime, so I think I'm going to try and start reading this first omnibus so I can maybe start watching the show, if I ever finish Lucifer.
Doesn't it? I was like, it sounds like a ripoff of The Incredibles. Isn't that like the premise of The Incredibles?
Yeah, but this one looks a lot more...
yeah, it's like adult. It's adult rated, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Not adult,
because,
but rated R.
Well,
not XXX, like you were thinking.
Well, let me... I'll show you. I flipped through the comic, and there's definitely a couple of graphic scenes, both violent and just a couple people enjoying each other's company, I'll just say, in the comic.
We're a family podcast, yes.
Yeah. Anyways, is that all? That's all I read.
Yeah, I mean, I read, I think, issue 7 of Magic the Gathering, but we'll go over those 7 and 8 on the next one.
All right.
And I still have to do Deathstroke Inc., because I think I'm a couple issues behind on that now, but we're already running at an hour or so we'll save that for next time too.
All right, and then I'm going to move. I don't have a ton for our next little area. So a couple things. I've been just playing really World of Warcraft. I'm now a level 34 hunter. I can't remember what I was before. I mean, I've played a ton since then. Right? What I usually do, it's like I do a quest or two, and then I run out of time, or somebody comes in the store, because I usually try to do it over lunch. I'll play a game or play a little bit of World of Warcraft. But I do have some games that I'm interested in. So one of them, I think you were on an email with our friend Maddie, I think he's the first person who always reaches out to us after the shows. So thanks, Maddie. And he mentioned the Forest. So I played the Forest. I think I've talked about that on this. You're on a plane crash. You got these crazy monsters all coming after you. I don't call them exactly, but sometimes you have to separate and go off and try and find different things. And these things are coming after you, and it is the creepiest feeling, because you'll be in your I'll be this tiny little house early on just so I can survive the night, because all of a sudden you'll hear their crazy laughs and noises they make. And you can't see them because it's dark, and you're in this house, and all of a sudden you'll have a window, and all of a sudden they'll pop right in front of the window, staring at you, screaming and stuff. And man, it's a fun game. So anyways, they have he had mentioned the next game, and I looked it up, and it's called Sons of the Forest. So that comes out in May. And they do have a trailer online. They haven't released a lot of information besides the trailer, but it just looks like the graphics are great in the first one, but it just looks like updated graphics and another awesome kind of like a horror survival game. So looks like it comes out. It says May 20th. So that's the Sons of the Forest. What have you been playing, Luke? Have you got any games in with your brothers?
I haven't yet. My kids have gotten into Lego World, though, which I realize is a pretty awesome game when you play on free play, like sandbox mode. So you essentially get every Lego piece ever. What
is that? What are they playing on? Oh, the Switch?
No, PlayStation 4 that we have. But it's pretty fun just building a ton of different stuff. I've only been playing that really just because, for time's sake, my kids like to play it. And I tried playing a game of NHL again, but like my internet crapped out in the third period, so they literally scored like 7 goals on me, and I was so pissed. But I don't like to quit just to be a baby. I don't like to just I'm done. They're up by 4 goals. Like most people, if you get up by 2 or 3 goals, they just quit. I don't do that, but I probably should have that time because my internet was so slow and shitty. I don't know why, but
nice. The other thing I was going to talk about, and I sent this to Luke, is it's a company, we're in Minnesota here, called Chip Theory Games. They've been doing a lot of things. I follow them on like Twitter, I think it was, and other places. They got a new logo. They do the Too Many Bones franchise, which is it's an awesome. I play it solo game, but they have just the as far as the pieces and just the product itself is just awesome. It's all the neoprene mats, these really heavy chips, and Chip Theory, like dice chips, and they have like the pictures on them and things, but just the quality is awesome. And they just came out with a huge announcement that their next game is actually The Elder Scrolls Betrayal of the Second Era. And it says it's a cooperative tabletop adventure for 1 to 4 players, character building and combat inspired by Too Many Bones, which I just mentioned. It'll be on GameFound, so it's like a Kickstarter, but it's called GameFound in October. It's a game of vast exploration, intense overland and underground battles, and fast-paced character progression, tons of skills, classes, enemies, and quests discovered through a 3-session campaign. It says it's their most ambitious game ever, and they've got some good games, even besides Chip Theory games, that I also have. But, so that's just some news I had seen. And, Luke, what are your thoughts? You'd seem like it'd be something up here.
Yeah, I mean,
you'd be interested in this board game.
Yeah, I know you play board games a lot more than I do, and we've tried to play a few times, but you should get distracted by kids or whatever when we're hanging out. But I mean, it looked awesome, and I haven't really played Elder Scrolls, but that video you sent was 10 minutes long, and they just kind of went into detail. They did closer ups of the stuff. I don't think they wanted to give away too much stuff. Because it's still in development, and they actually had the disclaimer still could change, or it's not solidified yet. But yeah, it looked awesome. And the hard part is it's like trying to find time to play D&D. Is when are we gonna have 8 hours to to invest into this unless we, ditch the kids for a while. And
the nice thing they do, at least in like the Too Many Bones, they did have ways that they had created where you could save your game. Then you take a picture, I think, or something. But they had this map that you could save your, kind of where you're at with your character. Because that's the cool part. Even in the Too Many Bones, you're coming up, and they have chips and then dice, and you have your character neoprene mat, and you get different dice, and you get to choose his upgrades and which abilities they're going to have, and yeah, so it's pretty cool. But anyways, so that's a game I'm looking forward to. But I think we've went kind of long here today. So anything else on your end, Luke?
No, I've been watching the Book of Boba Fett has 2 more episodes, but maybe I'll just condense a couple more episodes in the next podcast. But it's been pretty good.
All right. Well, yeah. Well, this has been episode 17 of the Hobby Shop Talk podcast. Hopefully we'll be doing it. I keep saying this, but I think we're getting closer to maybe we'll have some other things drop, whether it's, from, cause we've been talking about in the store, but so keep an eye out for other, hopefully episodes. And otherwise we'll be back in a couple weeks, maybe with some, Kamigawa cards in our hand. We'll see. So, all right. Hold on. What did I say at the end?
Go play some games.
So it always throws me off because in the store it's come check us out, hang out, and play some games. But I'm just gonna say, go find a game and find someone to play it with, and have fun. No, hold on, I'm gonna repeat that. I'm just gonna say, go play some games. How about that?
Did you say it? Just kidding.
Yep.
All right.
It throws me off because with the store it's like the same thing, and I'm like, what am I saying?
So that's it for episode 17. Thanks for listening, and go play some games.
All right, hold on. That's it for episode 17. And until next time, go play some games.